Hey, Denver Bronco fans, Denver Bronco Roundup fans, and it's, Friday night? It's the pregame show. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We are brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network and, of course, sponsored by Willow Seasonings and Blends. We'll get into that a little bit more here in a bit. Right now, we're here for you. We're here talking a little bit about Denver Broncos, and we're here with Mr. Trevor Salzman. My name is Keith Brugman, but I'll now say, here's Mr. Trevor Salzman. Welcome, Trevor. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, Keith. Just again feeling better this week. Definitely not feeling it, like it was last weekend. But just excited to talk more Broncos, and I've been hearing some Russ chatter over the week. So that definitely gonna have to kind of evaluate that over the past the next couple of weeks. Either way. So but just really excited to talk about Denver Broncos, and let's get a win.
Let's get a win, absolutely. In need of a win after our last outing. Taking the loss versus the Texans, not something that necessarily we needed or wanted or worked in our favor by any stretch of the imagination. I'll say this, though, man. By any stretch of the imagination, one of our best fans coming in already in the chat, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick, saying, "Good evening, fellas and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the DBR, the best Broncos pregame podcast on earth." Wow, man. Big caps coming in. Lots of love. That's our good friend Kenny Kirkpatrick. I got to give that love right back. I'm going to shove it back over. Kenny's part of the K&K Sports Show there in East Coast Sports Podcast Company. Have tons of shows, guys, including a fantastic one Wednesdays, 8 o'clock. Check them out. It's you'll get the other side of K&K, Kurt Valente, on a fantastic Broncos podcast. But Kurt, Kenny, thank you so much for coming in here and giving us some love. Check Kurt out on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Ernie Mays also coming in here and saying, "Go Broncos country only, 7-6 after this Sunday." Predicting the win already, Ernie Mays. I love it, buddy. A lot of people thinking that might be the case. Maybe not Vegas per se, as they have it. Last time I looked at about like a 2.5-point favorite for the San Diego Chargers at home.
Wow.
That being said, you usually get 3 points at home, so they're really giving about a 0.5-point favorite to the Denver Broncos. That being all said, guys. So
hard to
go ahead.
I was going to say hard to give them a 3-point, give them a 3-point advantage when they scored 6 points against the Patriots this last week. Do they watch football?
6 points in a win. Boy,
Yeah.
There's not very many times you get to say that in the same sentence. 6 points in a win. The last time I think I said that, it may have been an Avalanche outing, but not an NFL outing per se. Kenny's coming in here, and of course, Kenny saying thank you, Keith, for your kind words as well. Well, man, kind words for us, man. And like I said, check out the K&K Sports Show, guys. You won't be disappointed. They do all sports. They do it East Coast to West Coast, and man, fantastic shows. My favorite, by the way, guys, if you happen to check out the K&K Sports Show, I know I should be loving on Kurt's Broncos on 8 o'clock, but man, their wits and wagers and the cast of characters that they have on there, fantastic and phenomenal advice. You'll really get to understand wagering in the on sports, just watching that show. I know I have, so check those guys out. Little extra plug, man, Kenny. Now you baited me into more, Kenny. Congratulations. So You baited me into a little bit, Trevor. Let's kick this off, man. You said you've heard a little bit of chatter about Russell Wilson. I know this wasn't necessarily on our agenda, but let's kick this off, man. A lot of maybe Russell Wilson hate, a lot of chatter around possible replacements for Russell Wilson already. Once again, it one loss, 5-game win streak, throw it out the window. One loss, man. It all comes back really, really quick, man. What's your thought on all this, and what are you hearing, man? And before you do that, because I saw this jump in, brand new face, James Green coming in and saying, "Hey guys, nice to see you again." Well, obviously, oh no, we saw James just a week or two ago.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry, James. Once you said nice to see you again, that clued me in, so I appreciate it. So over to the Russell Wilson chatter, man.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of Russ hate this week. Once again, the Broncos lose, and it's on their quarterback. And I mean, again, he's such an easy target to paint in this, and it's just like Mark Schlereth, one in particular, really stood out. He was just really bashing Russ on the radio, and it was just, just disrespectful. I think just for Russ as a person, just what he's fought for. Mark Schlereth should know what the grind it takes for players to get where they get. And Russ, I mean, you can call it what he is right now. He didn't have the best game Sunday, but again, that was not all on him. That was Russ didn't have hardly any time to pocket. If you watch the game, you can see that. I don't understand all of the Russ hate. Now, I've been critical of Russ when he needs to be, and I was on our post game show after the game. But again, to excuse the offensive line for what? What does that do? It's a team loss in the day. I don't understand Peyton towards it's Russ's fault, and they should be replacing him. Well, how did you get to your 5-game winning streak? Because Russell Wilson came back and really stepped up when he needed to, and so I just think it's just really disrespectful to Russell Wilson, and I think we need to see what Russ has the rest of the season. We owe that to him. We invested into him. See what he got the rest of the season. If he just falls flat on his face, then it might be a different story. But right now, I mean, one bad game, I'm not ready to throw in the towel on Russell Wilson, and especially at least his team to a playoff berth or them or close to that, and we haven't been there in 6 years, 7 years now. So it's just like there's no way that there should be chatter right now on Russell Wilson. Oh, is he going to be here or not? If you want to bring in a different quarterback in the offseason, that's a different story when it comes to the draft for your future. But Russell Wilson right now, I don't see why you couldn't win with him. We've seen it in this season already.
I 100% agree, man. And I'm going to get back to the chat board because a couple of reasons. One, fantastic fan, Pearl, coming in here saying hi all, and hello to you, Pearl. Thank you for joining us. We always enjoy your company. Tuesday, Sunday, Friday. Seems like you're always here, Pearl. Thank you so much. Graham's jumping in here as well, and this is why another reason I wanted to jump in and read his comment. He says, oftentimes radio is going to say things whether they believe it or not. It's about the views for some people. And maybe that's the case. I mean, I did hear the argument, man, you try to be on the radio for hours on end, day after day, and try to fill that space and not put something out there that obviously is going to twist a few hairs with some people. And hey, if you're doing your job right and you're getting a lot of reaction, you're going to probably be twisting a few hairs, whether you believe it or not. I will say this, one of the best comments I saw regarding this is, how quickly does Mark Schlereth forget that Terrell Davis carried a Broncos team to the Super Bowl and through the Super Bowl and to a Super Bowl win? It wasn't John Elway that carried that team. It was the running game and what they were able to do, and that offensive line being able to do that. This offensive line was not brought in to be the pass-protecting, fortress around Russell Wilson. Especially our last two acquisitions this offseason, Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey, their forte, their strength is all going to be in the running game. So, play to your strengths, and that's something that we didn't necessarily do, even though the stats played out in the way that it should be a focus versus Houston. And for that, as we continue to reminisce about that Houston game, I guess, a little bit, and get into this Russell Wilson talk about why he should be replaced, I put more blame on Sean Payton than I put on Russell Wilson. I don't think that Sean Payton, A, had Russell Wilson prepared, B, had this offensive line prepared, C, basically had this team prepared you know, to play this Houston Texans team. Unfortunately, it ended up being a loss because of that. We got to bounce back because we got another away game as we head off to SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles to take on the Chargers next.
Yeah, so I was just gonna piggyback off of Mark Schler thing. And this is my last comment on that. Here's the
Feel free.
thing: the fan they have had plenty of people that will criticize Russ or criticize the Broncos when they need to. Schler's the only guy from the fan that I've heard that once. I mean, I've been listening to the fan throughout the week, and he's the only one to me that has just really got something against Russ. And to me, it just sounds more like it's taking just more personal than he has just a game. And I have a lot of respect for Mark Schler, don't get me wrong, but here's the thing: it's just you can't take it to that extreme. I mean, just it's one game. Don't forget the fact that he led your team to a 5-game winning streak as well. I mean, so it's just to me, he's been the one that's been Broncos don't need Russ. Sean Payton, it's just giving Sean Payton all the credit and giving Russ no credit at all, which makes no sense to me because Russ still has to go out there and perform, regardless of what Sean Payton shows him or however he has him in his scheme. Russ still has to go out and perform at the end of the day. So Russ he needs to get some credit as well for it. So, but that's just my thoughts on it. The fan, a lot of them have been positive, more positive reactions towards Russ than it is, going against Russ and saying, "Oh, Denver needs to get rid of him." I just think that we need to see the rest of the season out before we make that call. As of right now, it's a huge call. So
and then you want to bring in Mac Jones, right?
well, if the price is right, I definitely would at least think about it. I think for sure.
Oh.
I mean, 6th-round draft pick, 7th-round draft pick for a former 1st-round draft pick. I mean, he wasn't total bust there in New England. There's definitely get something out of that, and I think Belichick just doesn't develop quarterbacks very well. So I'd be curious to see if Sean Payton could do anything with Mac Jones. If not, I mean, he's a free agent after if you trade him 1 year, he's gone. and if you don't go after anybody in the draft per se.
This all comes off the rumor that when Sean Payton was with the New Orleans Saints, they had high interest, tried to trade up, weren't able to in order to try to get Mac Jones, a replacement for Drew Brees at the time. They were high on Mac Jones. Mac Jones had a fantastic, freshman, first year in the NFL. Was looking pretty good. Heck, there was even a little bit of, talk about, MVP for the year and the whole 9 yards for Mac Jones at one point. Whether that was reality or just drawn up out of I don't know, some New England brew. I have no idea. But that being said, there was a little bit of talk about it. All of a sudden, he's had a few bad years, but goodness, have the New England Patriots had a few bad years. You can't really speak to just him being the sole contributor to their downfall. It's tough to obviously follow in the footsteps of TB12, but that being said, that team is certainly not surrounded by a ton of talent up and down the roster. There's a lot of fingers that could be pointed to the demise and his bad performances on the field. So maybe there's some reason to think about things like that. I will say, at some point, just age. I don't think you want to necessarily not have a backup plan, and I don't know if Jarrett Stidham is necessarily that backup plan that I'm sold on. So I got to get back into the comments because, man, they're blowing up in here. So Kenny was the first saying all that chatter should be about this season and not next year. Russ backers have no problem if Peyton wants another QB, but haters want to go with players that make no sense to me at QB next year. For instance, Winston or Stidham or Drew Lock, etc. Pearl's coming in here and saying, I'm working this weekend. Darn, I'll miss the game. And the after show, darn onion rings will be Saturday night. So
as long as you make them.
Yeah, I think maybe as long as we have intentions, we'll still be okay. So I appreciate it, Pearl. Good evening, Keith and Trevor. Go Broncos. We know just by those blue and orange hearts, man, exactly who that is. That's Michael Ronquillo. Fantastic supporter of the show. Nice to see you, Michael. And he's saying, evening, gentlemen, as well. Kenny's saying, and you have to pay Wilson because of what Jimmy G and Cousins is making to name 2 QBs. Yeah, we could get into that too. Just, the way the contracts have elevated over time. I know that if you did catch Kurt's Broncos show on Wednesday, he did get a little bit elevated about that as well. So, or one of the K&K shows, I know that was. So, that being said, you know, we're not going to dive down the contract talk of Russell Wilson right now. We thought it was topical, obviously, to bring in the fact that a lot of people are once again questioning him after only one loss. We go on a 5-game winning streak. Everyone's starting to get behind him. One loss, one bad performance, and all of a sudden we want him back out the door in some people's eyes, and calling him basically a high school quarterback when it comes to someone like Mark Slores. So, hey, if the coach is scripting the plays, I don't know what you're supposed to do other than run the plays the coach has scripted for you. It's kind of like play. You can only play the teams that you're scheduled against. You can only call the plays that are on your wristband. You know what I mean? If it didn't put on the wristband, I can't call it. You know what I mean? So, I like this one. Pearl's coming saying, "So true. When does it end?" This is the thing. Oh well, here I'll get to the end of these comments real quick. So, Kurt Valente saying,
"Yeah,
what's up, boys? Pitt losing big for the Broncos. Yeah, we'll get into that as we talk about some playoffs near the end of this podcast. And then Pearl's coming in here and saying Kurt's show was a blast, such fun. And, of course, Kurt's giving a big thank you to Pearl as well, getting that clap going on too, Mr. Valente. I appreciate it. Where was I at? So when does it end? That's where I was at with Pearl, man. It's tough to say when this ends. Honestly, it ends when the Broncos fans feel like they're winning again.
Yeah.
It's been so long since we've been winning. If we feel like we have a winning team and the quarterback is a contributor to that, then we want to stick with that quarterback. But it's been so long since we had A, a winning team, and B, a quarterback that's truly contributed to that. It's tough. It's tough. You're always looking for the next best thing. So I think, unfortunately, that's when it finally plays out. My biggest thing is I don't know where you turn. Who's the next big thing? Because I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you right up, Trevor. Would you trade straight across Bryce Young for Russell Wilson right now?
I mean, I would if I'm the Broncos, but I'm not if I'm Carolina.
No,
I mean,
no.
I mean, if I'm the Broncos, but I mean, if you're Carolina,
you have that much faith in that Bryce Young is going to be turned around? I can tell you he's looking like something that comes out of the back end of a dog right now.
True, but I mean, if you look at that contract of Russ's, I mean, you still have 2 years of a lot of money, and you're trying to attract a head coach to your team, and how you're going to do that with Russell Wilson, a 34-year-old quarterback with the big
you got
contract?
A head coach on your team. You're all good on the head coach.
No, I'm saying Carolina. If you're Carolina, if you're Carolina,
gotcha.
It doesn't make. I don't see them ever doing that unless you throw maybe a couple picks their way. But I don't think that they do that after.
Let me ask you this differently: how much faith do you have that Bryce Young will end up being a top 15 quarterback in the league?
Oof. I mean, I definitely want to revisit this after the hire coach too. But I would say right now, I'll say 65% probably.
Okay. Right now, Russell Wilson is a top 15 quarterback in this league, and you have him. And this is the point that I get is that, man, you risk it. Everyone's like, hey, we need to go ahead. And at one point, it was Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was a generational quarterback, hands down, going to be the number one. No doubt about it. I think there's a lot of questions now. Drake May, he's just as good. He's got to be up there. Drake May, there's a lot of people interested, but I don't think anybody's necessarily going, he is a generational talent. This is something like we've never. It's tough to get these quarterbacks. You know what I mean? And then out of nowhere, Brock Purdy's good. So, you know what I mean? It's sometimes what you have compared to, what you were willing to risk and try to bring in, whether it be rookie, whether it even be veteran. You know what I mean? I want a Jameis Winston, and I want to see if I can make this work. Oh my goodness, that could be bad as well. So
no Jameis Winston, please. I mean, I've seen enough Jameis Winston. He's not gonna get you anywhere. Him and Stidham, and like Kenny said, him, Stidham, and Locke are all in the same. They're lifelong backup quarterbacks in the NFL if they stay in the NFL. But that's it. They're not. Yeah. They're not no starters. But that's the thing with Bryce Young. I just think that he's just not falling to the right team either. With Stroud, he's falling in the right hands. It seems like with Houston. So I just think it's a lot where these quarterbacks go.
If
Drake May goes to to New England, at 2. You have Belichick there. Do you feel confident about that? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
he can't develop Mac Jones, so I mean, I don't know that he can develop, Drake May.
Yeah, very, very true. This will all end up playing out, guys. But I guess my thought is, and I think the way that we need to start thinking about this is not only is Russell Wilson a Super Bowl winning quarterback that took us on a 5-game win streak that can play very well within the system. We had one bad week, guys.
Yeah.
One bad week, and we have something pretty dang special in a Russell Wilson Sean Payton marriage, at least for the time being. So let's not get all bent and think that we need to move on and go on to some new quarterback and that's going to solve all our problems. And anybody that's calling for Jarrett Stidham to take the helm,
Jeez, please.
I
The
don't
guy
know.
barely made the roster. He barely made the roster. Sorry to
I was
interrupt
at
you,
training
but-
camp. Believe me, there was no reason to be excited about Jarrett Stidham
No.
taking over as your quarterback. No point it would be
No.
like, "Ooh boy, I don't know, Jarrett Stidham's looking pretty good whipping it out there." No, that would hate to tell you, fans, but that's not the case. I don't know why we set him up with the contract that we have. So,
Guards of the year.
hit some comments. I know that we're getting behind, so let's see if these are still somewhat relevant. I apologize. Keith, if I remember correctly, a successful season from the haters was between 7 and 10 wins. If you're going to get there, now it's unsuccessful? Question mark. Some media and fans need to back up and not all of a sudden change their minds. Yeah, it's funny, man. Expectations certainly have changed altogether. I know I was calling for a 9-win season and talking about how that would be double our wins basically at that point from the year prior. So we should be pretty dang happy. Graham's coming in here. Graham's coming in here and saying Jameis 30 interceptions, Winston. Yeah, we can bring him in. Kurt Valente is just giving us a rundown of that fantastic, some of those bridges that we had in between the great Peyton Manning and where we're at today. Simeon, Lynch, Keenum, Brandon Allen, Flacco, Locke, Rippon, Bridgewater. We are lucky to have Russ.
Don't forget Osweiler.
Don't forget Osweiler. Do we got a Paxton Lynch sighting in there? I don't know if we
exactly.
do, Oh, my goodness. There was Mark Sanchez right in the mix, guys. Don't forget about that. He was a favorite heading into training camp for some. So amazing where we went from it. And we do have a legitimate, at least amount of competency in what we have in quarterback, something that we have not experienced from top to bottom. And let's face it, a guy that goes out there every single time trying to win, has a positive attitude, wants nothing more than to lead this team to wins every single day, every single play, every single week. Do you want a guy who's more interested in what his Xbox 360's connection looks like this weekend?
Yeah.
So, Kenny Kirkpatrick says, "I'll tell you what, go look at the Division II quarterbacks, and draft one in the 7th round, or under an undrafted free agent. That's the route the Broncos should go. You do need a QB. I think he's always in there. I think he's doing his speech to text, and he always or something. He's got a little bit funky fingers. So I'll get in there, Kenny, and try to get all your thoughts out onto the airwaves, nonetheless. So. Yeah, I think there's a legitimate reason again for us to start looking at QBs down the road, or as a replacement. I mean, at some point, 35, 36, 37, you know what I mean? Russell Wilson is getting older. So
Keith, I'll ask you this before you
yes,
go to get the Pearl's comment. How high would you go if you're going to probably, I'm going to say draft a quarterback, because I would imagine you're not going to, go on the free agent market again. The Broncos this offseason, how high do you go in the draft to get a quarterback for the future? I mean, if you're not getting rid of Russ, more than likely not.
Yeah. If the right one fell to me, I would go as high as the 3rd round. But we have too many holes to be thinking 1st round, 2nd round. You know what I mean? Obviously, if the right quarterback falls, Drake May falls to the bottom of the 1st round, and that's where you're sitting. Then I got to think different. But in legitimate thinking, where I think a quarterback could fall and where I would be willing to take him, I wouldn't go higher than the 3rd round. How about you, bud?
Yeah, it's interesting because again, this team. I mean, Sean Payton loves to trade up, so I can imagine he's going to trade back. But again, if the Broncos don't like what they have, let's just say they pick in the 20s and they move back at the end of the first round. I think there's an argument there. If there's a guy
Yeah.
there that's you can get that 5th year option, you get 5 years of team control. You have Russ. Well, you have that quarterback for 3 years of team control. If you keep Russ for 2 more years, so I would say if there's a guy in the first round that you really really like, you better make sure you really, really like him. Then I would maybe think about it at least and then you can get in a second round. And you can start building the team up from there on. But I would say, yeah, probably back in the first round, but very, very back in the first round if I'm going first round for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Gotta be
Yeah.
the
I
right
mean,
guy.
really, really like. I think
Yeah,
that was the comment that rang most true for me because I
yeah,
really, really I just don't want to be reaching. I don't want to be
yeah,
reaching for a quarterback. There's no reason to reach for a quarterback. I think we're signed up for Russell Wilson for a couple more years. And I just want to get somebody in there in these next couple of years that I think that could be the replacement for Russell Wilson. Heck, most of the time that doesn't even work out for most teams. It's not like we brought in Gary Kubiak and he took over for John Elway, or
yeah.
you can go down the list, you can go down the names. It goes on and on. But
You may have one on the roster already.
was it? Oh yeah,
You may
that's
have one
true.
on the with the Nucci because they blocked him and from
Yep,
another
that's
team
very
getting him.
true.
So may have one
Yep,
on the roster.
the surprise elevation of Ben DiNucci to the 53 last week. Maybe a
Yeah,
blocking move for another team to try that was out there looking to steal him. So, um, hit the comments again real quick. So, Michael Ronquillo saying Jaden Daniels NFL draft stock is up. Another quarterback that we need to keep our eye on as we head in. Pearl Heater's coming in and saying, I still love Broadway Joe. She's her favorite. So I love that. Pearl throwing it way, way back to Broadway Joe and the New York Jets. I like that. My dad used to talk about the little New York Jets and Broadway Joe. Kenny's coming in and saying Simeon Rippon are the second and third string quarterbacks for the Jets, just as a reminder.
yeah.
And he's saying he's sorry. He's at work right now, so that's why he's having so much trouble with his typing. So I appreciate you. Hopefully, you're not ignoring your duties too much, man, and not ignoring our duties, man. We put a few different things in this ad. What we're gonna hit, and one of it, a couple of the big ones, man, was this upcoming Chargers game, man. We just came off this Houston loss, but and the Chargers are coming off an impressive 6-0 win over the New England Patriots. But that being said, the Chargers have really been reeling as of lately. They sit at 5-7. We sit only at 6-6, only one step in front of them. We had to go away as we head off to SoFi Stadium. But my question was, will we light up the Chargers on Sunday? Trevor, like I said, it seems like this Chargers team is reeling. He's sitting with a quarterback, with his 1 foot out the door, already, kind of in waiting, dead man walking type of situation there in Los Angeles with the Chargers. So that being said, man, like I said, can we light up the Chargers?
Yeah, I think you absolutely can. Their defense has just been very bad this year. And then you have this is a thing, this is why I say their head coach, Brandon Staley, might be getting fired because he's a defensive minded head coach.
Mm,
So their defense is not playing well. Other than Khalil Mack, there's not a lot of bright spots on that defense. In particular, run in pass, they're about mid tier in the NFL, I think like 17th or something like that. And then they're right there with Denver in the passing game. They're like 28th in the NFL in passing yards against. So it's just the Broncos should be able to have their way offensively. If this is your get right game offensively, this is the week to do it against the Chargers because this is a defense that's really struggled, and you need to put pressure on Justin Herbert and that offense because the defense might be bad with the Chargers, but their offense is certainly not too bad with Herbert. So but definitely a get right game offensively, I think, for Denver in this one, in my opinion.
yeah, you're leaning towards those statistics. I'm looking off to the side because I have a few of them right now. Offensive against the Chargers defense are passing 60% of the time.
Yeah.
That's number 26 in the league. They're getting passed on a lot. They're getting completed on 66% of the time, up for number 22, one of the worst in the league. 7.2 yards per pass play. That's up for 28th. Passes per game, 37 by their opponents. Again, kind of with that 60% that we're talking about. That's number 27. Passing yards per game, 265. That's up for number 31st in the league. Interceptions thrown, only 1%. So they're they're not a ball hawking defense as well. That's number 29th in the league. And their sack percentage even, well, that's the opposite side. They're number 8th in the league when it comes to sacks. So if you get it away, there's yards to be had versus the San Diego Chargers in their running game. It's a game that's definitely, I was thinking about this before we went on air, Trevor. Last week I talked about it. I said, hey, man, this Houston game could be a shootout in Houston. I really thought with the way that C.J. Stroud can fling it around the field that Russell Wilson would have to be doing the same thing in order to be in this game, in order to run away with a win. Thought it was going to be a really high-scoring game. Didn't quite play out the way I thought because, well, Denver didn't perform to that high of a level. C.J. Stroud never had to really put the pedal down and make sure that he put up points left, right, and otherwise. So we didn't see that high-scoring game for a couple different reasons. This game certainly looks like we're baited into throwing the ball, man. Do you see it any different? And is this the game that all of a sudden we do see the ball being flung about by Russell Wilson? And is that the right move? Because quite honestly, we just got done talking about, how this team was built and what's our best, recipe for success in a lot of situations. So how do we play this game, bud?
Yeah, I think we got to go be more balanced. I think you got to run the ball too. I mean, this is a Chargers team that's not like this is a defense that really stops the run at a high rate or anything like that. I think you got to stick to what run the ball. And again, Samaje Perine is questionable in this game, so in the passing game, you're gonna have to be a little bit worried on that because pass protection. So I think you have a guy like Khalil Mack you got to worry about in this game. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about Joey Bosa, but you have to worry about Khalil Mack. For me, I think you got to have a balanced attack, and I think you got to get back to what this team does best: run the football, play action pass with Russ, when need be, but don't rely on the pass because you've seen what it did to you, in Houston, and it lost you the game a lot of ways. And you turned the ball over, and it was a completely different Bronco team on offense that we saw in Houston. I just don't think you want to go back to that once you ran the ball and had a more balanced attack in previous games. It's worked, and you need to start playing the strengths of your roster, not necessarily to what the other team's weakness is. Because again, this is a must-win game for Denver. So.
Well, to that end, keeping with that same statistic side of thing that I was rattling off, opposing rushing yards per play, 4.3 yards. That's number that saddles you up for number 21 in the league for the Chargers. So there is, 4.3 yards per play, man. That means if you run 3 times, you should get a first down every 3 plays. That's where you want to be, 3 yards on a cloud of dust. And it's funny that as bad as this Chargers, run defense is 4.3 yards a game, it seems like there's, still a lot more success out there to be had through this passing game. I'll say this, in preparation for this game, and I'll get to Pearl's question after this, and Kenny's, by the way, because I want to hit that as well. Now I'm going to lose my train of thought. In preparation for this podcast, man, I did a little research and I was listening to some Chargers podcasts. And the one thing in regards to their offense was, well, I'll say 2 things. They said, A, Cortland Sutton needs to be priority 1 in order to shut down the Denver Broncos. And number 2, don't let Russell Wilson get started. He hasn't performed as far as yards all that well, even through the wins, and you don't want Russell Wilson to get started. They had almost no concern for our rushing attack. So, once again, I pose you, man, how do you think this how do you think this Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, and the rest of the receiving group will perform against the San Diego team? And, if they're able to completely shut down Sutton, who comes in and who is that guy that replaces Sutton in this passing game?
Yeah, so I think that I don't know. I disagree with what those some of those people are saying on the other side, just because again, I mean, I understand shutting down Sutton. I said that post game against Houston, teams are going to start
Yep.
shutting down Colton Sutton. Broncos are going to have to. Russell Wilson got to figure out his connection with Jerry Jeudy and some of the other guys, because it can't just be Sutton all the time. Teams are going to start taking note of that, and they're going to start probably double teaming Sutton, or definitely putting their best corner on him. So. I still think Broncos running the ball it would be the key success in this one. You got to have a balanced attack, because again, yeah, Russell Wilson get him going, but it's like I think that comes with kind of some of the screen passes and setting up the run, and field and having a good fields in the game. I just think that you need to be able to. You can't just set Russ up for failure and have him pass when this offensive line struggles with that. We've seen that this last week. I just don't see how that's a good game plan going against his defense. Now I know how good they are against the pass, but I mean, you need to again, you as a football team, you have to figure out what you do best: run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And
Mm.
when it presents itself, then you pass the ball. But we've seen it. When the team pass heavy, the offense doesn't click, and you just don't have it right now. You need to run. You need to run the ball, and you need to have a balanced attack. As far as somebody else to step up other than Cortland Sutton, I mean, again, for me, it would be P. Ryan if he's healthy. But again, I think Jerry Jeudy, you kept Jerry Jeudy on this roster for a reason.
Mm.
And I mean, you were getting third round pick offers and all that stuff. Well, then let's see it. This is just as much of a audition for Jerry Jeudy the rest of the way this season than it is for us. Got to see more from Jerry Jeudy as far as getting involved, being more involved. Like, stop throwing your little Tim tantrums when you don't get the ball. You
Mm.
need to win your routes better, and you need to find a way to get open. You and Russ need to click. Your guys, this is you guys' jobs. Figure it out, and Sean Payton as well. Figure it out. Get him the ball. We feel like we've been talking about it for a long time now. Jerry Jeudy, when is he finally going to get this breakout game? When is Sean Payton going to get him? Get him the ball. And Sean Payton, every time it feels like he has one of his press conferences. He's like, "Yeah, we got to get Jerry Jeudy the ball." Well, you're saying that, but you're not doing it. That's
Yeah.
what's frustrating about it.
Well, and this is going to be part of it, man. I'm going to talk about it right now because this is, like I said, they pointed out on the San Diego Chargers podcast that I was listening to. Since Chicago, when Russ put up 223 yards, this is his total yards, versus the Jets, 196. Kansas City, 95. Green Bay, 194. Kansas City, 114. Buffalo, 193. Minnesota, big game, 259. Cleveland 134 and 186 in the loss versus the Houston Texans. Get him more touches, get him the ball more often. That's going to be really tough when you're averaging maybe 170 yards per game, and your big target is Cortland Sutton, and you're trying to get a little bit of a spread. You're getting the running backs involved. You're getting Javonte the ball a little bit. You're getting P. Ryan the ball a little bit. Troutman gets a catch for a touchdown. Little Jordan Humphreys hauls ones in. You know what I mean? You're trying to spread the ball around a little bit. You're only throwing for 170 yards, and you're saying, well, geez, we need to get Jerry Jeudy 6 catches. I heard somebody say that. We need to get Jerry Jeudy like 6 catches. Jerry Jeudy 6 catches. Holy cow. That would be our entire offense if things go right. That would be an entire passing game at this point.
Yeah.
I think at some point, especially as we get geared up for the playoffs, there has got to be a game where we go ahead and we crest these numbers and get back to maybe something like, I don't know, Washington, where we put up 308. You know what I mean? We need to get back to be able to put up some decent numbers in the passing game. If not, all our work to get to the playoffs, I think, will be for naught. There'll be no way that we can go up against playoff caliber teams in playoff settings and be one-dimensional. I know that we need to get the run game going. I know that's where we're at. But if we don't get this passing game going, especially against a team like the San Diego Chargers, I think we're going to be sunk. If not this week, we're going to be sunk in the long run. So get it going. I want to see it bust out. We have weapons. We have Jerry Jeudy. We have Cortland Sutton. We have Marvin Mims. You know what I mean? there are opportunities out there, man. There should be against a defense that gives up so many yards that hardly ever gets an interception. They're not in position. There's opportunities. Let's get right this weekend, man. I think we can put up big points, and that's why I put in our ad. Can we light up the San Diego Chargers? I think there's a big opportunity here to put up some big yards, and I'll tell you what. Go out there, put up 300 plus yards, put up a big score on the scoreboard, and hold San Diego to some of the points that they've been putting up like as of lately. Those Russ haters will almost disappear. Almost what Pearl was hoping for, because winning will be back, and we'll have faith in a quarterback that got us there.
Yeah, and that's the thing is also keep in mind you have Greg Dulcich coming back too, probably before the end of the season. So what is Greg Dulcich? He's a vertical threat. He's not a run blocking tight end. So you definitely need to get your passing game going, before he gets back, or when he gets back for sure. But I think for me, getting Jerry Jeudy involved, it's not necessarily his stats, but it's necessarily it's just him. Just feel like he's been more of a threat downfield. I mean, we see it with Cortland Sutton all the time. He makes an impact. Well, Jerry Jeudy, find a way to make an impact. You got to get involved in the game a little bit more. Are you winning your routes? I mean, I have to go watch all the film throughout the year of Jerry Jeudy. How is he doing with his routes? Is he winning his routes at all? And then your second part of that is just the offensive line. If you're going to get the passing game going, we got to see the offensive line improve. I mean, you can't have that type of performance against Houston and just expect the passing game to get to where it's at. You have to get Russ enough time, and this is part of it as well. Get Russell Wilson outside of the pocket. Stop making him a pocket passing quarterback. He got to get, because he can't see over the offensive line. He's short. I mean, and this is the thing. I mean, it's
don't gotta be that way.
I think that's why he's having his problems with it, because he reading downfield, because I think he can't see over 6'5", 6'4" offensive linemen, and he's got rushes coming into his face. I'm just putting myself in Russ's shoes. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah,
Russ can't see, and so get what better way? Get him outside the pocket a little bit so he can have more room. That's why Russ is always running outside of the pocket, because he can't see anything. He's a mobile quarterback, and I mean that's part of it. But also, so he can see the field better. And it's like, I just feel like Sean Payton's done a poor job, in my opinion, getting Russ outside the pocket. He's making him a pocket passing quarterback. I've seen that a lot against Houston when Russ wasn't worrying for his life. But I'm saying when he had good protection, Russ was just in the pocket too much, in my opinion.
I always felt like they should clear out the space in front of him, let everyone go out to the edge, block out wide, and clear out the front of the field in front of him. Yeah, maybe he's looking at that linebacker, that's matched up on him one-on-one, but I'll take that every single day of the week. If he can have a clear view down the field, that would do fantastic. And I agree, man. It is something that we haven't talked about in a while, just height, and everyone, made a big to-do about it because Drew Brees and Sean Payton and the whole 9 yards in the offseason. So, but yeah, it certainly would help. I'm going to hit Kenny real quick. He's coming in here and saying Sutton has become Metcalf. Jeudy needs to become Lockett for the Broncos to make that playoff push. Great analogy. I like that, man. And obviously plays well because that's where Russ was from. And yeah, it would be nice to see that type of tandem and that type of pairing and that type of production that we saw between those two receivers in Seattle with Russ, play out for the Broncos with Sutton and Jeudy as well. Clayton coming in here. Thank you guys so much. Clayton is another fantastic fan of ours. He's coming in here and saying, hey guys, and this is the type of guy he is. He's always saying smash that like button and share, guys. And yes, absolutely, don't promote ourselves enough sometimes, but like, share, subscribe, smash that like button. We like all those fantastic things, and we're here for you guys, and we appreciate you guys being here for us as well. Albert Knoppers, hey, this is Friday night, and I know that our intro, I wasn't even going to say this, says Albert and Jody and Trevor and Keith, but on Friday nights you get, well, typically Keith and Trevor, unless one of those other guys free up and they're able to jump in with us. But Albert is one of those other co-hosts, certainly on the Tuesday show, sometimes on those post-game shows as well. He's coming in here and saying, hello, y'all. My prediction is 31-17 for the Broncos. So, man, we got our first prediction coming in from Albert Mile High Dutchie himself, our one of our fantastic co-hosts. Check him out again on Tuesdays. Michael Ronquillo saying big game from wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. That's his prediction right out the gate. Get caught up on some of these. Clayton saying time to rebound again. Back to ground and pound, baby. And Russ uses legs to run and by time, like he does. Anyway, and I might be stumbling over some of these words, but I think what we're getting at is we're going to ground and pound, and Russ is going to use his legs like he always does, and he does so well. So, Albert's coming in here and says the offense needs to keep the ball and run down the clock. Don't give Herbert much time. Yes, that is one thing that Herbert is fantastic in those fourth quarter comebacks. We've seen it and experienced it firsthand just how quickly the San Diego Chargers can go down the field and score on the Denver Broncos. Clayton's coming in saying man-to-man, stunts and twists, quarterback spy a few times, and let our linebackers loose. Different blitzes, packages, and overload to one side. Let's go. That will kind of transition. That's a kind of a good transition, I think, to the defensive side of the ball for the Broncos. Kenny brought it up a little bit earlier, and I wanted to hit this, and I think I missed it. His question for the tonight, and it comes right in line with what we're talking about here. He says, is it more important to stop Austin Eckler on the offense or Khalil Mack on the defense? We'll hit that and then start talking about this Denver Broncos defense versus the Los Angeles Chargers offense. We just don't even talk about cities from here on out. But what do you think? Is it more important to stop Eckler or Khalil Mack in this upcoming game?
Well, I heard a rumor today, or maybe this last week, that Austin Eckler's starting to get less touches. So I think he's been fumbling the ball quite a bit lately. So for me, it's Khalil Mack. It's kind of just giving my just straight up answer with that one. Khalil Mack. I just think that again, this offensive line needs a rebound game. Talk about this offense. We've got to see them rebound and start playing to their strengths. Offensive line's got to start stepping up. That starts up front with these guys. And I will say that game after game if I have to. It's what it is. Khalil Mack, he's been a problem. Again, thankfully, we don't have to see Joey Bosa in this one. But got to see a bounce-back game from Garrett Bowles, Michael Glinchey in particular. Those guys are your tackles. They're getting paid really well, to kind of put it simple. But, so I just think that you have to stop Mack. You cannot let Khalil Mack impact this game and get after Russ. Again, I think part of that's just game planning and scheming from Sean Payton's standpoint, getting Russ out of the pocket, running the ball. Really, seems to really tire these pass rushers out when you're running the ball consistently well, and you kind of take them out of the games. What the Broncos did when they played the Browns, and they took Myles Garrett out of the game. Not injury wise, but I'm saying, just before he got hurt and stuff like that. But definitely think it's Khalil Mack in this game. He's an X factor for me defensively. For the Chargers in particular.
Trevor's out here starting Bounty Gate 2.0. Appreciate that, man. Let's take him out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to answer this just a little bit differently.
Thanks for calling me out. Thanks for Lord, you're not wearing a referee. You might be throwing the flags on me right now.
You got the stripes going in the wrong direction, I guess. So,
exactly.
All right. I'm going to answer this just a little bit differently. I think that we can contain the running game. I'm ashamed to say, as bad as the Broncos' run defense has been, that I'm not scared of Austin Eckler, or as Trevor alluded to, it sounds like Joshua Kelly is the guy that's really going to get the touches and the guy that we need to be a little bit more worried about. So I think we can contain the run game. I think that we can do what we need to do there and contain that. I'm more worried about having to go up against Khalil Mack than I am against the run game. But the one thing I will say is I think you can scheme against Khalil Mack since you don't have Joey Bosa on the other side, since you only have one side that has that heavy pressure. I think you can scheme against that and come up pretty good against it. But that being said, man, it's going to be tough. Khalil Mack is having an outstanding year, if you guys don't know. So one of the top performers on this Chargers team. Just Chargers. We're just going Chargers. Got to get back into these comments, though. You guys are blowing it up. Appreciate you guys so much. So let's see. Where are we at? Okay, right here with Kenny. Kenny's coming in saying, great point, Dutchie. Wear that defense down and keep your defense fresh. I feel like I'm on the opposite side of every single one of these points as of lately. That's okay, man. I'll stand here alone. Not standing alone. Luke Patterson, man, I stood with him at training camp. Thank you so much, Luke, for jumping in here, saying looking good and happy holiday, boys. Happy holiday,
Holidays,
boys.
Luke.
So happy holidays to you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. I know it's been too long. I know I have a way outstanding invite to have you on the show, and I promise, I'll get you on here. I promise. I can't do anything more than say
More shows now. I mean, more shows, so more opportunities. Just
I
saying.
know, but I'll tell you what, Luke's not the least busiest guy either. So,
Yeah.
but I do want to get him on here, and if I have to record it and bring you guys, Luke, I will do so. Michael's coming in here and saying the Broncos will have a short week after the Chargers game and play the Lions on Saturday night. Does it hurt the Broncos or help the Broncos? Ooh, that's a good question, man. I got to lean right off the bat, Michael. Anytime a short week and then you're going to the Lions, I believe, then that's a travel. I can't imagine this helping necessarily. The only possible way that I could foresee this being a help is if we just go in there and blow the doors off of the Chargers, completely shut down their offense, and all sides are just riding so high and riding the momentum that you carry that quickly into the next game. That's the only way I could see that. Otherwise, just from a preparation standpoint, unfortunately, it's going to be a deficit for us. So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was going to kind of go off what you said, Keith. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be tough. Being a short week, but I think again, you are in the state of mind where it's winning. You gotta find ways to win. It don't always got to be the prettiest win, but a WW at the end of the day, 5-0. You can do it. This team has shown it before this year, arguably against teams that are going to be right there with with Detroit. So I think and Detroit is definitely beatable. You just beat Green Bay. Yeah, it was a couple. It's been a little bit a little bit ago since you did that, but Green Bay beat Detroit. That's a team that you beat. That should be confidence in itself that you can go in Detroit and beat that team. They're definitely beatable. There's not when we're not talking about the biggest elite team in the NFL. They're great. Don't get me wrong, but they're not like unstoppable by any means. From what I've watched, I think you can definitely do it. I don't want to count this as a loss because again, 5-0, you take care of business. You're looking really pretty in that playoff fish, no matter what happens.
Wow, we're talking 5-0. Another 5-game winning streak. Doing 2-1 season, man. That would be phenomenal. Like some of our commenters here. A lot of agreement on this one. Kenny's coming in and saying, for me, it's Mac because of how bad the offensive line played last week. Michael Ronquios coming in and saying, stop Khalil Mack as well. Luke Patterson coming in here. Maybe some of his keys to the game. By the way, guys, if you don't know who Luke Patterson is, Luke Patterson has a fantastic show over on Mile High Huddle, guys. Check him out. Not only does he have a fantastic podcast, but he does an amazing amount of writing. I know that he always has his keys to the game, so go over. I'm going to do a little shameless plug for Mile High Huddle. Go over to milehighhuddle.com right now. Check out Luke Patterson's keys to the game, and he might be giving us a little bit of a preview right here. He says, "Gotta blitz Justin Herbert. What are my keys?" Oh, there you go. I just need to read a little bit further. Multiple fronts from unsuspecting positions. They'll be ready for lock, screaming off the edge, stunts, twists, delay blitzes. So, man, Luke Patterson, I believe it was Ernie Mays who came in and was speaking all the same, or maybe it was Clayton. I can't remember. Was it Clayton? Yep, Clayton. Clayton with a lot of the same ideas. You guys are on the same page. So, man, appreciate it, Luke, like giving us some good insight. I know Luke does his homework. So, guys, look for those blitzes for Herbert. I'm just gonna steal his thoughts right now. Look for those blitzes, and hopefully, as he's saying, that we are able to mix it up in order to try to get home and get some sacks. So that would be fantastic. Michael Ronquillo is coming in and saying, and I agree with this, Alex Singleton needs to bounce back after giving the Broncos a penalty on 4th down against the Texans. Now, I'm not sure about necessarily bouncing back because of a penalty, but I will say after a kind of one of his worst games, I think, out there playing at linebacker, Alex Singleton didn't look good against Houston. He does need a bounce back game. Had some good plays, but overall, his play on the field not really up to par. Alex Singleton, do you think he's due up for a rebound type of game here against the San Diego Chargers, and is that possible against this San Diego Chargers team?
Yeah, I agree with you in particular. That penalty, because again, that's so controversial. You don't know, that's not a penalty in a lot of different games. It's just the NFL protecting quarterbacks, of course.
Mm.
But I think that definitely it needs to be about that game for Alex Singleton. Again, if you're gonna stop Herbert, he's gonna have to be a big part of that. I think when Alex Singleton was playing well, you were playing Mahomes, you're playing Allen's of the world. He's being aggressive, he's making tackles. He has to get back to that because he's too viable for you to, for him to be missing tackles like that, and just to making himself look just really bad out there again with the penalties, just the penalties in general. I mean, he's got to be, I think, penalty free for the most part the rest of the season. You can't have penalties like that will hurt your defense and give other opposing offenses other chances to give them more chances out in the field than you need to when you come out big on fourth down or third down.
Yeah, I agree, man. We need to. Well, it's going to have to be a concerted effort all the way across the board. Alex Singleton isn't alone out there. There's going to be multiple moving parts. They have, whether you're talking about their receivers, which they've been mixing quite a few in with injuries, whether you're talking about their tight ends, whether you talk about their running game, and we all know we don't want to necessarily see Austin Eckler start to get hot in their passing game either, because he's certainly capable of doing that as well. It's going to take an all-out effort in order to make sure that we are able to contain, and Alex Singleton is going to be part of that. I have been disappointed in Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton, I have a little bit of a, I don't know, connection with just because he went to Montana State University, same place my kids and my dad and my father-in-law and everybody went to school. My wife, you name it, they all went to school at Montana State. So always been following Alex Singleton, always kind of watching him on the field because of that. And like I said, need a bounce back game. He needs to be playing better. He needs to be able to wrap up and bring guys down on contact. That's a definite must. So hopefully he's working on that. Hitting the comment board again, just really quick, buddy. Rogers jumping in here and saying this game will definitely not be a blowout. Look for a close scoring game. 17-13 Broncos take the win, according to Rogers. So Rogers coming in here with his prediction as well. Ernie Mays, I threw it up on the screen. He's saying 5-0 too. He's right there with you, Trevor. So not alone in that thought process. I want to get into this, man. Maybe we'll do this. Let's wrap up this Chargers. We've already got a couple of predictions, like I said. Rogers coming in with a 17-13. Ernie Mays was coming in as well. I forgot to throw this one up. Coming in, giving all the Chargers some love, saying Broncos 32, the Chokers are 7. And yes, my goodness, sometimes, at least down the stretch, that you could certainly rename them the Chokers. As San Diego seems to find ways to lose more than any other team out there. But Ernie's obviously talking about a big blowout win, contrary to what Rogers said. Again, Albert had a prediction coming in here saying 31-17 for the Broncos, so he was talking about big scores as well. I was trying to see. I thought there might have been one more, but maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm wrong. Got Kenny coming in, get his prediction in here, and then maybe I'll jump over to yours as well, and then we're going to wrap up with a little bit of playoff talk here on out. So Kenny's coming in and saying, in my opinion, the Broncos MVP this week has to be Sean Payton. You are a better coach than Staley, and show your skills on Sunday afternoon. Broncos 23, Chargers 20. Barely showing those skills in a close win, man, but I like the fact that we're getting a win. I do like the fact that you're calling out that, yes, Sean Payton should be the better coach in this game. Brandon Staley has been reeling along with the Chargers, probably hand in hand. And so, Sean Payton should be able to outshine this week. Trevor, do the Broncos outshine the San Diego Chargers in SoFi Stadium? Do we come away with a win? And what's your prediction on this game?
Yeah, I'm going to go 21-7 in this game. I think the Broncos definitely Broncos win, of course. I think this is your get right game offensively. This is a Chargers team that you could knock them while they're down. Again, you're talking anywhere from well, maybe they'll make a playoff push to, oh, we may fire our head coach. I mean, they're kind of just all over the place right now and dealing with some injuries and some key injuries like Joey Bosa. So, I think definitely Bronco win. I don't feel very confident in the Chargers offense against the Broncos defense. That's a team that put 6 points up against the Patriots defense. So I don't think that they're going to be too much of a problem. Of course, you're always going to have to contain Herbert, but and get like Luke said, put pressure on him. This is a game for your edge rushers. Definitely to get in Herbert's face and just make him uncomfortable all game long. So I think again another key matchup in my opinion in this game, in particular, is Patrick Surtain over on Keenan Allen. Because Keenan Allen has 1,000 yards this season, 7 touchdowns. I mean, this guy is insane this year for Herbert, and then in the Chargers. So, this is it's insane, and Surtain's going to definitely be testing this one. You talk about Cortland Sutton on the Broncos side. Well, Keenan Allen is your Cortland Sutton on the Chargers side. So, be interesting to see, but definitely Surtain's going to have a big game.
Keenan Allen is your Cortland Sutton on the Chargers side, minus the fact that you don't have a Javonte Williams or a P. Ryan, basically at this point. So that's why you see that upped percentage, man.
Yeah.
I said, man, I really think that this is a game that the Broncos need to break out. They need to be able to put up some points. I'm not going to be unrealistic. I'm not calling for like 40-some points or something crazy like that, But this is what I want. I want Will Lutz only kicking off and putting up extra points. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the Broncos win in a 28-13 victory in SoFi Stadium. I want to see 4 touchdowns. I want to see 3 of those really early, and I don't care if we don't even score in the third quarter and put the final one up in the fourth. I just want to see us go out there, look confident in our passing game. I can tell you this is the thing that is a little bit scary. When it comes to red zone and when it comes to third down conversion, the San Diego Chargers statistically are a very, very, very good team. What that means is you need to be good on first and second down. What that means is you need to get into the end zone without getting into the red zone, because there's certainly been teams that have scored against this team. And the way they've done it is what I'm envisioning, not watching all the tape, is there's a lot of big plays that go all the way for a touchdown. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. I think the Chargers could go down and the Broncos could go up, and that's going to be necessary if we want to continue this streak like Ernie Mays and Trevor are suggesting, this 5-0 streak that we also want us to get on. I like this. Pearl's just coming in and saying Broncos win, and big smile on that one. So, hey, Michael's coming in with the score that I said I wasn't going to give, maybe. So he's coming in saying Broncos 42 to the Chargers 17. He's liking my thoughts of a big offensive production. Like I said, man, it would certainly be nice to see at some point, and this would be as good a week as any in order to really take it to the Chargers. They're reeling. This defense can certainly give up points. I would love to see it. Chargers wide receiver Quentin Johnson is showing he was a bad pick for them, says Michael Ronquillo. Yeah, hasn't been working out as of yet. And Pearl's coming in with a little surprised on that prediction as well. Michael's giving you a big old W-O-W wow, man. So, all right.
Well,
man.
And then I was going to say, off of Michael's prediction, if that's 42-17, if that happens, can you imagine the praise Russ will be getting after the game and throughout the week? I mean, we won't be hearing about Broncos moving on from Russell Wilson, at least for another week.
Yeah, we might be. We might hear the media all talking about comeback player of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Russell Wilson.
All the praise.
All the praise will just come raining down. Man, if we put away the win, like a lot of us are predicting. By the way, one of the 2 podcasters I was listening to on a pretty elite San Diego Charger, gosh, there it is, Los Angeles Chargers podcast. Get my dollar ready. Los Angeles Chargers podcast predicted a loss as well. So that being said, let's assume the Broncos get the win, man, and let's just talk a little bit about playoffs, man, and what potential we have. Getting that one win under our belt, notching that win again, and starting this run. Hopefully, it's going to be tough. And the one I posed this into the Rocky Mountain Sports Network community chat. Threw it in our back chat as well. But there's a couple of big games. Obviously, our game that's happening versus the Chargers. We need to get a win. Another game that's happening at the exact same time, guys, the Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, obviously leader in the AFC West currently. If we can get to 7-6 and they happen to lose, we're one game back of being in a tie for the AFC West. Now, on the other side, that puts if the Buffalo Bills win in that scenario, then they are possibly tied with us at 7-6. And though we have the tiebreaker, just more competition as we head down the stretch. My question was, and I'd love to get anybody else's answer, I don't know if I got Trevor's, but who are you pulling for in that second game? The Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Buffalo Bills so that we don't have that competition hanging around, right around the same place we are? Are we hoping the Buffalo Bills take out the Kansas City Chiefs and maybe gives us an opportunity to take the AFC West title?
Yeah, that's a great question, Keith. And I kind of struggle with it for a little bit because, of course, you want to try to win your division, and it's been such a long time since the Broncos won their division. So, it's part of that the whole playoff drought. But I would say you definitely want Buffalo, I think, to lose. I think you're more in favor of that happening. You're able to get in as a wild card than you are that it's actually winning your division because Kansas City's schedule is pretty in their favor in my opinion. So I think even if they drop this game, and let's say Buffalo wins, so Kansas City's schedule is favorable, and then for them, and then you have Buffalo's game. They're right up there with you, and so I just, in my opinion, if you can get Buffalo to lose, I think that's a better path to get into the playoffs. Because again, you're just looking for a way to get in. It would be nice to win the division because then you have that extra week to rest and get prepared. But I think for the sake of argument and just getting into just kind of getting into the playoffs in general. Definitely as a wild card, Buffalo lose, please.
Very good. Well, you're getting some agreement right off the bat. Ernie Mays is coming in saying Buffalo to lose. That's what he would like to do, what he would like to see happen. Got to get to Roger because it just has me cracking up over here. It says, I can never root for the Chiefs. Oh, heck no. So there's your answer right there. Kenny's coming in and said, I'd root for the Bills. If you think you can go 5-0, that is, Casey is struggling big time and not right. Yeah, 100%, man. This is where I came down. I was in agreement with Kenny, man. If for some reason you lock up the AFC West, that's a lock. That's just a lock. You're in, you're done, it's over. Doesn't matter how you get there, you win your division, you're in. Talk about it time and time and time again. Every coach will go in there, training camp, win your division, you're in, guys. First goal, win the division. Second, win in the playoffs. Third, win the Super Bowl, right? So, man, as much as I would it would stress me out to have Buffalo Bills tied there with the Denver Broncos. I look at the Buffalo Bills and I see just the way that they've been struggling. They haven't put anything together that has looked like what they've done in the last couple of years. And I don't know if they can put it together. I feel more confident about the Denver Broncos down the stretch than I do against the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call for the Buffalo Bills to beat the Kansas City Chiefs just so that we have a better chance because I don't think they'll go on any particular run, the Buffalo Bills, and I would love to see the Kansas City Chiefs being knocked out, us being sitting. Talk about momentum changers. All of a sudden, we sit in a couple of weeks, we're sitting atop the AFC West.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you talk about another momentum changer. Talk about, all that talk and that chatter kind of disappearing. Yeah.
I'll let you finish your point, but I have a question for you after this.
I'm good, man. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was going to say, so if the Broncos, they end up, locking up the AFC West, is Sean Payton Coach of the Year?
Yeah, that's tough. That's always, to be honest, this is, and I heard all this discussion. I'm going to also get into one of Kenny's comments here as well because he had a good point when it came to Russ and coaches and stuff like that as well, but I think because Sean Payton's been there, done that coach, the expectations for him to be Coach of the Year are so much higher. He's already won the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? He's already an elite coach. He's already expected to get paid a lot of money to come out of TV and back into coaching. You know what I mean? So for him to take Coach of the Year, I think will take a lot more for the voters.
Right.
So for me right now, it'd have to be D'Amico Ryans
Okay.
of the Texans. That's where I would go. Look, he comes in, expectations were low. He's a rookie, doesn't have the staff, doesn't have the personnel for as far as his players, and he just goes out there and performs. So
Does
yeah, that
D'Amico
would
have to? Does D'Amico have to make the playoffs for that to happen, or is it? Or no?
no, just strong
Okay.
contention.
Okay.
Strong contention at the end. He can't just like fall off the map and go 0-5 in the last 5 games. If not, he's out. But
Okay.
they stay in contention. They keep playing the way they are. C.J. Stroud keeps looking the way he is. I think it'll be tough for him not to take it. The Kenny Kirkpatrick, by the way, I mentioned this kind of near the top of the show. He's part of the K&K Sports Show. I told you my favorite podcast that they put out is their Wits and Wagers, and he's coming in and saying, FYI, we made our picks on Wits and Wagers for comeback player of the year. Russ is 10-1 odds currently. DeMar Hamlin is the favorite currently. So I'm glad that DeMar Hamlin's coming back. I wish that he was playing a little bit more on the field and the like, you know what I mean, for truly being a comeback player. That's only a little bit of a hiccup that I have, but I'm so glad that he's back and able to even take the field. That's a comeback in and of itself. So, boy, gonna have to wrap this up here pretty quick, man. Gonna get some final thoughts from you, but I'm gonna get some final thoughts from our fans first. Pearl's coming in saying this is tough because I'm not a fan of either of these teams, and very tough. Kenny's saying they have a tough schedule. Let them beat the Chiefs this week. One of the toughest strength of schedule was the Buffalo Bills this year, so they're going to probably have a tough stretch. And Pearl's coming in, getting her final thoughts in, saying great show and giving us some hearts and some love. So I appreciate that very much, Pearl. I'm going to get some Trevor final thoughts, man, because we're already a little bit long. Well, we're really long, but it's been a great conversation. We've had a lot of fun, and appreciate all the fans that have been here with us. So.
Yeah, so just want to thank everybody here that came here and support us tonight. We really appreciate it more than anything, and we do this for you guys, and that's why we've expanded for 3 shows now. So just thank you guys for everything you guys do. You guys are amazing, best fans in the NFL, and just best fans in general. That's just what it is, hands down. Just I think that we should just continue to really be proud of what the Broncos team's gone to. But again, we wouldn't need to try to shoot for a win every single week. And I know it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Listen, the Broncos team went on a 5-game winning streak, and we didn't know they were going to. No one had the Broncos going on a 5-game winning streak the way they did this season. This definitely, we could talk about 4-1, that's fine, and talk about, we can watch teams and see what they do and see how the playoff picture looks. But again, if you take care of business, that's all we can ask for as fans. You take care of business, go 5-0. For some miracle you don't win, you don't get in, then that's all we can ask for. You take care of business in the last 5 games. But chances are, odds are, you take care of business and win those 5 games, you're in. That's as simple as that. You know? So I think that definitely, we can definitely be hopeful, and all these games are very winnable, and I think that I hope that Russ silenced the haters a little bit this week, and he does have that bounce back game. The offense in general just continues to get better, because I think you hit on something tonight that is really important. This offense has got to get going. Especially if we want to get in the playoffs, you have to get this offense going. We've not seen this offense break out, to much their potential yet. So we definitely need to continue to see that, and they're just not consistent yet enough. You're still seeing the defense having to really step up in these games, and so it would be nice for one of these games on the stretch, the offense finally figure it out. Because what better way to go to the playoffs than your offense playing it's about as best they have all season, and your defense playing well? That's the best way you can go to the playoffs. So, we'll see how it all shakes out. But you guys keep tuned in here, and we'll have you covered. And can't wait to see you guys on Sunday. And Broncos win. Let's go.
All right, man. I love that, man. Love that. I was thinking, man, as you were talking there, wrapping us up a little bit, man. Friday nights, man, and especially when I was a kid, there was nothing better than hanging out with your friends, man. And I just realized that's what I just got done doing tonight, and what we've been doing now for several weeks. We've been hanging out with our friends. So I'll do the best Albert Knoppers impersonation. I just do want to say hello and thank you to some of the people that jumped in and was part of our show tonight. Kenny Kirkpatrick, Ernie Mays, James Green came in here really early. Pearl came in here. Graham was in here. Michael Ronquillo, thank you again for jumping in. Kurt Valente, part of the show, again, part of the K&K Sports Show. Kenny and Kurt, check those guys out, K&K Sports Show. Search them out on all your fantastic feeds, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, or X. Anybody else I'm missing? Clayton was in here. Albert was in here. Getting a little bit further down in this chat, just Luke Patterson. Thank you so much, Luke. Mile High Huddle. Check those guys out as well. Luke has been spot on when it comes to his keys to the game, guys. So check that out if you want some great information, milehighhuddle.com. Roger was in here. If I didn't already say that name, I don't know if I did. I think I did not. So thank you, Roger, so much. Good friend Jeremy Dresser coming in here late, saying thank you guys so much. Go Broncos. Appreciate that. Kenny's coming in here and saying one of the biggest reasons DBR is the best. I couldn't say it any better. Great job, guys. See you Sunday evening. Pearl's coming in here and said, I would love the Broncos to win the division, and we're going to be pulling for that, Pearl, regardless of wins or losses by the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's just go get it anyway. Hey, you go in that 5-0 run like Trevor and some of the other guys are talking about, you'll be in contention, no doubt. So Roger's coming in here, one last thought, saying throw the ball to Jerry Jeudy. The man is open often. Hope Russell can connect with him more often this week. And also giving us a thank you guys as well. Great show as usual. Go Broncos. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it so much. Man, like I said, man, going to be a fantastic game, guys. I think it could be one of those games where we could really see the offense flying around, looking good. This defense also has the opportunity to look pretty good, get back on track. I didn't necessarily hit that nearly as much on this podcast, but this defense, man, like I said, they have the opportunity to get back on track, to, get charged up to levels that we saw prior, and maybe start getting some of those turnovers as well, like we saw in weeks past. That certainly tended to help out our offensing, and I think that was where our momentum and our gumption was coming from. So we get it coming from both sides. We'll be sitting really, really pretty like Michael Ronquillo coming in and saying final thoughts are, clap it up to the Broncos country. Keith and Trevor, go Broncos. Big old stars as well. Thank you so much, Michael. I got to give you a few thank yous as well, guys, because we are brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, guys. And Rocky Mountain Sports Network is a fantastic place to get all your Colorado sports news, notes, knowledge, rumors, you name it. So from Avalanche to Broncos, from Nuggets to Rockies, guys, they got you covers. Head on over to RockyMountainSN.com. That's RockyMountainSN.com. You can also check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, you name it. They're out there. Go ahead and check them out. Guys, we're also sponsored by the fantastic Willow Seasonings and Blends. Willow Seasonings and Blends, sorry about that, is a Colorado sauces and seasonings company, guys, and they are fantastic. Believe me, go out there for the pit boss in your family, for that person that absolutely loves the sauces and seasonings and being part of that lifestyle, because let's face it, it is a lifestyle. Go out there, head over to willowseasonings.com, get them a gift for Christmas, get them a gift for, the new year, get them a gift because, but I'm telling you right now, the gifts just keep on coming, because if you type in DBR 2023 when you head over to willowseasonings.com and you're in the checkout, DBR 2023 gets you 15% off. That's a nice little gift. And another nice little gift, Dave over there is giving $1 to a family in need every time you use that code, guys. So please do what you can. Like I said, it's helping you out. It's helping, maybe somebody close to you out as well, getting them a great present. So check out willowseasonings.com. Again, we are the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us on this Friday night. You can also catch us on our regular scheduled Tuesday night, and we always do a wrap-up show, a post-game show on Sunday as well. We got 3 fantastic shows coming to you every single week. My name is Keith Brugman. My co-host this evening was Trevor Salzman. This is our Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. I'm going to try to do my my outro here. Make sure you keep your boots in your stirrups. Make sure you keep your guns in your holsters, and make sure you keep the Broncos in your heart. Until next time, guys, we're out of here. Have a great night. Peace out.